Very heavily involved in the Curtis Richards case, Parkersburg Chief Joe Martin joins us now live in the studio. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
But
having
my
me.
first question is, has Curtis Richards always been the main focus, the main suspect from the beginning?
Initially, from the time we got the call, he was the only adult person that had control or custody of these children. So yes, he's been a suspect the entire time that we looked into the initial investigation.
And when did it really become clear about where Curtis Richards' whereabouts were?
About 10 days ago, I would say 10, 12 days ago, we received some information that he may be in Mexico City, Mexico. We had nothing to confirm that or corroborate it, and we never assumed that he was there and not anywhere else. We didn't rule anything out at that point, but we dug a little deeper into his whereabouts or his possible location in Mexico. Added the reward not long after we received that information. That gave the incentive for someone to come forward and help us locate him there in Mexico City.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the community about I understand a lot of people are calling the tip line.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to say to them?
Yes, we greatly appreciate any information that comes from the public. Their involvement, goes right along with our mission to protect and to serve them as well. And we can't be everywhere all the time. Of
Right.
course, everybody knows that. And any information that they do provide to us does help us. Maybe a small piece of information that may not mean very meaningful to them, but it would mean an awful lot to us or the investigation in which we work. So we appreciate all the work, not only that the police officers did and law enforcement from here to Mexico City that had a hand in this, but we do definitely appreciate the public for their concern and for their support as well.
Now, going off of that, today marks 7 weeks since the little girl's death. How are you feeling right now? How's the whole department feeling?
Well, there was a good amount of stress within our investigative units. The 2 detectives that were assigned to it, and of course the media coverage almost daily kept this thing alive and on the front burner of the stove. And that did create a lot of stress or pressure for them to perform well and to locate them as quickly as they did. I would have preferred it happen sooner, but ultimately it ended well, and so that sense of pressure has been relieved, and we can move forward now into the next process of prosecution.
Now, what were the department's initial steps for finding Curtis Richards and finding out his whereabouts?
Any information that we received, we did all the basic search techniques, looking for anyone within his family where he could possibly be. We started from there and just expanded the search.
When did it become clear that he was not in the area?
Well, with all the information that the tips that we got, there was tons of tips that he was still in Wood County. And every tip that we got, we still had to follow up on it to ensure that he wasn't here. So that took a lot of time. For those 7 weeks, we had assigned 2 detectives that worked that full time, and that kept them very busy. And but everything that the department received, it was followed up on for sure.
Can you give us any details on how he was actually captured in Mexico?
Well, what had happened? We confirmed that he was there. We made contact with the FBI, with the Marshal Service. The Marshal Service played a very key part to this, the capture part. Yesterday, the detectives came up, our local detectives came up with a plan to remove him from hiding, to come out in public, to be surveilled or to be detected. And from that point, once we initiated the plan yesterday afternoon, by 10 p.m. our time, locally, he was in custody. So it worked very well. The Marshal Service, they were very gracious and helpful in locating him, identifying him immediately. And they did some groundwork in Mexico City. As we were getting the information locally, we would in turn relay it to them, and they in turn confirmed what the information was on our side. So it was a very good a joint operation as far as our agency working with the Marshal Service and with the FBI, and it turned out very well.
Do you have any beliefs that he had any actual ties to Mexico, or just where he fled to?
We're not, I can't confirm why he was there or if he did have contacts there, but that's something we're going to explore once we do have him back in West Virginia.
Now, we said this a little bit as we mentioned it earlier, but what are the next steps? What's going to happen?
Well, we are obviously, the first step is to get him back in the country. that first point or that first stop should be in El Paso, Texas. From there, he'll be extradited back to West Virginia. But the process does move a little slower since it is involving an international country.
Yes.
And but once we clear that hurdle, it should be pretty seamless transition from Texas to back to West Virginia.
And my last question is, do you predict anything? What do you predict happening in court? And then if there's anything you'd like to add.
Well, of course, he's entitled to his right to a trial and by jury, or if he waives that, he pleads guilty. Whatever that process will take its course, and I hope that the court and the law will punish him to the fullest allowable limits.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and congratulations to the department for this really great breakthrough.
Thanks.
A cool night turns into a